looks down and wham! Hello, when you get all those things are happening to you, you can't be comfortable playing the football game.
There's William Thomas, who came jetting up the middle. Mike Horan will have his second punt of the day, second in a row, and D-back Rob Carpenter had a nice 29-yard catch last week against the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos, and here's the punt by Horan. Carpenter from the 13-yard line and out of bounds at the 19, and the clock stopped at 2:39 remaining in the first half. Punt of 42 yards by Mike Horan. Once again, we see Rodney Peete come out onto the field. His father, Willie Peete, is a running back coach for the Chicago Bears.
He was at Green Bay when I was coaching in Texas. I interviewed his dad, tried to hire his dad. His dad did the right thing. He stayed in Green Bay with the new coach, Lindy Infante, who used to coach at the Giants.
Yes, he did. Now he's with the Indianapolis Colts as their offensive coordinator.
You have more knowledge than anybody in the game.
Eagles with a 21-7 lead. They have a first down and 10 yards to go. Just inside the 20. And Ricky Watters with a nice block he got on the play from Barrett Brooks. The rookie cuts back and works his way to the 23-yard line, brought down eventually by Vincey Glenn.
When you talk about a lead, you're talking about the back without the ball coming after the line. Watch the low cut block. Get him on the ground. The back goes to jump outside. Can't make it. Come back in. And you could see two hands covering the ball. He's a little bit worried about having another fumble because he had that one.
Timeout taken by the New York Giants with 2:13 remaining in the first half. We're just before the 2-minute break. 21-7 the score. Eagles have a lead. A touchdown pass. Not once but twice to Fred Barnett from Rodney Peete, who last year was Troy Aikman's backup down in Dallas. Before that, 5 years in that interesting quarterback rotation with Wayne Ponce with the Detroit Lions.
And he said the best thing that happened to his career was getting out of Detroit. Pete said, you know, you just didn't know. One day he said you were the starter, and the next day you weren't even dressed for the ball game, and then you'd come back the next week and you'd be there. He said, boy, I didn't know if I could play or not till I got out of there.
The other quarterback in that three-man rotation was Eric Kramer, who is now with Chicago and starting and leads the NFL in touchdown passes going into today.
And the other guy that they drafted #1 and thought was their guy at Detroit at that time,
Andre Ware.
He's out of football.
He was a Heisman Trophy winner, and he was cut by Jacksonville in the preseason.
And I don't believe he's anywhere now, is he?
Nope. Looking at Canadian football. Second down and 6. Rodney Peete, and it's knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Duff may have gotten a hand on it, but he had some great pressure up the middle as Peete was whacked pretty hard by Michael Strahan.
And there were the crossing routes, which take so long, and finally Strahan got there. If the wideouts can cross the field, watch them all cross in front of your face here. There's the backs crossing. There's the wideouts crossing. If it's going to take that long, somebody's got to get after the quarterback.
6'7" Jamal Duff did get a big paw on that pass by Rodney Peete.
Didn't you like Jamal Duff yesterday? And you liked him in college. You were a fan of his when he played at San Diego State.
Third down and 6 from the 23-yard line for Rodney Peete. Rush comes out, head as he throws, but gets it out to Ricky Watters. He's got the first down, dancing beyond the 30. And once again, Rodney Peete gets up very slowly and staggers his way to the sideline. Nice play by Ricky Watters. And we've reached the 2-minute warning in Philadelphia. Warning here at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia with the Eagles on top 21-7.
And the Giants' defensive line are giving Peete a pretty good pounding. They're all coming up through there. There's Coleman, Rudolph, Duff. And that, in the old days, that'd be a great play. Right now, that could be an $8,000 fine, which, you know, Mamula got last week, when I think he was already on the plane he was on when the quarterback went down, and that caused a collision. He didn't go down after the quarterback. He was there before the quarterback.
Mamula fined the $8,000 by the NFL on the hit that knocked out John Elway last week. And on 1st and 10, pass caught. Rob Carpenter, and he's out of bounds at the 35. Chased that way by Philippi Sparks.
And Philippi Sparks, named after one of his uncles. One of his uncles was burned in a house fire and died, and he carried that name. And that's what people say, where'd you get Philippi? It's after an uncle that got killed in a fire.
Doctors halftime coming up. Our Hollywood studio will bring you scores and highlights from around the NFL. That's the Doctors halftime, moments away. Second down and 5 for Rodney Peete. On the pass. Nice leaping reception made. Calvin Williams at the 48, and good for a Philadelphia first down, a gain of 13 yards.
And Felipe Sparks got hurt on that. He had to cover. He's limping. He can't run right now. They don't want to call a timeout. He's in trouble. He had the coverage, and he hurt something. It's number 22 there.
First and 10 pass. Ricky Watters, who had to get to the 42 and kind of juts his way to the 46, 47-yard line. Speaking of Sparks, he is dedicated this season, Jerry, to his other uncle.
His other uncle died recently in a drug-related death, and he dedicated the season to him. He said he loved that uncle. He always had problems. He tried to help him, and he's dedicated the whole season to a different uncle, one that died in a drug-related accident.
Jacques Laveau was that uncle. As you see, Rodney Peete not crying, uncle. He is taking a beating in this first half. That was a gain of 11 yards on the play to Fred Barnett. Another first down for Philadelphia. And a timeout.
Feeling I gotta go.
Ray Rhodes and his Eagles lead at 21-7. Rodney Peete has connected many times today with Fred Barnett. And Barnett, as we said before, chipped a bone in his left hand, small finger, and he has got that pretty well taped today.
And I think Barnett gives Peete that comfort feeling that I got a go-to guy. You notice there's a different Peete when Barnett's in the game.
It's down in 10 from the 37-yard line. Peete buys some time with the scramble and throws at the feet of Barnett. No penalty flag as Rodney Peete just throws his second incompletion. He is 5 of 7 on this drive.
And Sparks hanging on there, making all the plays he can make. And when you interview Sparks, don't you like that guy? He's got fire in his eye.
He's an unrestricted free agent at the end of this season. And my feeling, Jerry, and you correct me if I'm wrong, was that he was not all that sold on staying with the Giants.
What the terrible thing about pro football today, you get a young guy, and just about the time he's ready to help you, and you've groomed him, and now Sparks is ready to become a star, their contract's up and they can leave.
Second down and 10 for Peete. Again, he is hit as he throws, and this one will be picked off by Vency Glenn. And Glenn goes by Gardner and is finally brought down at the 22. Rodney Peete throws the interception. It's the third turnover today by the Philadelphia Eagles as Mike Strahan again absolutely whacked Rodney Peete.
We thought Strahan versus Brooks was going to be a mismatch, and it isn't every down. But when it comes crunch time, pull, jerk, there's the swim, there's the arm over, and hit him. Oh, boy, they're after this quarterback.
Rodney Peete has thrown 8 times on this drive. He has been hit like that every time he has thrown the ball.
Well, if this keeps up, he got to start handing off. You got to start, when all that pressure's happening to your quarterback, you got good backs, you got to start giving it to him.
And Vency Glenn with his 4th interception of the year. And the Giants will have 46 seconds with which to work and fill the turnovers from the 23-yard line. And they're chasing Brown to the sideline. He got a block from Elliott, and he goes the other way, and he's got Pierce, but the pass is too high and incomplete. Got a little bit of everything on that play.
Well, whoever drew that play up, whoever designed that, should be fired.
And a penalty flag thrown on the Philadelphia Eagles, and William Fuller with a late hit.
You imagine you're on your own 15-yard line, and you run all the way over to that side, and anybody picks that ball off, that's an Eagle touchdown. That was terrible.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 95, defense. First down.
William Fuller is 95, and that breathes new life into the New York Giants.
Must be a late hit or a hit to the head. Let's see if he gets him right in the head. You can't hit above the shoulder pads. Oh, yeah, hit him right upside the ear. I don't think he hit him with malice aforethought, but he did hit him.
Now, that hit was a late hit. The hit by Felipe Sparks last week on Hostetler continued an Oakland drive, and they called that a personal foul. Down in 10. Oh, and Brown is hit. That's a loose ball. And Brown gets in the fetal position to fall on it at the 33-yard line. His arm was moving, but I think, Jerry, when his arm was cocked, they may have knocked it away. And the pressure by Mike Mamula and 95, William Fuller again.
Well, you don't know which way they're going to call it, so you got to. I thought it was a forward pass, but you better jump. Nah, I think you're right, Kevin.
Mamula got him.
Mamula got him, and he has to get on the ball. And he's smart enough here. The first thing he does is roll over and call timeout.
Mamula last week, Jerry, have been criticized, as we said before last week, by Ray Rhodes. A 25-yard fumble return. He and William Fuller, who combined on that hit right there, together against Denver. 3 sacks, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, and without question, Mamula's best game. And Fuller, of course, the nice pickup from Houston a couple years ago, all zeroing in on 17, Dave Brown.
I think rookie defensive ends take a little longer than what everybody thought they would. I think the Giants have a good rookie defensive end. The guy you like, Jamal Duff, I think these are 2 guys that in the future are going to be able to get after quarterbacks. But you look at young rookie defensive ends, you got to give them time. You got to have more than the one move you had in college. You got to have more than just a jerk or just a swim. You got to do a head fake. You got to do different things.
You saw the Doctors' halftime is on deck when we reach halftime here. 2nd down and 13 for Dave Brown. He's thrown a couple interceptions today. He lines up at his own 33, and he dumps it out. And Keith Elias with the tackle made by William Fuller. For Elias, that is his 2nd catch today and his 4th of the season. He only came in with a couple. Here's a kid from Princeton, a free agent, Jerry, who just tore him up on special teams. And he was one of the players that Dan Reeves signaled out as a player that would continue to see more time.
They're going to let the clock run out, I believe, and get out of the woods here.
So the Eagles get some great defensive play, especially late with the pressure on Dave Brown. And at halftime, it's Philadelphia 21, Giants 7. Stay tuned for the Doctors' halftime after these messages from your local Fox station. This is Kevin Harlan. An interesting half in terms of the turnovers. But, Jerry, you've spotted some other things, too, which you think are playing maybe a subplot to this game.
The pass rush by the Giants, I think, has surprised everybody. They are really working Willie Pete over. I say Willie Pete.
Rodney Pete.
Rodney Pete. Willie's
You're in the
daddy.
family. That's good. That's good. You're
right.
in the family.
And I think what's really going to have to happen, the Eagles have to come out and run the football to take the pressure off the good pass rush that they're hitting their quarterback with.
All right, so the Giants, who are trying to rely a little bit on Rodney Hampton in the first half, may have to put it up in the air to get back in this game as a trail now 21-7. And the quarterbacks today, you see Brown 7 of 14, but the 2 big picks by the Eagles, and Rodney Pete himself has thrown an interception, but 14 of 20. Jerry, different formations by the Eagles last week against Denver. Same kind of plays and almost the same scenario today against the Giants.
Just to start the game, though, Kev, they came out and tried to get him with some new formations, 4 wide receivers. In fact, they looked like a run-and-shoot team there for a while. But as the game's gone on, they've gone back to their bread and butter. But I think, really, why are the Eagles different? Why are they better? Because Ricky Watters can carry the football, and they have to take the pressure off that good pass rush and start running Ricky Watters again. Maybe
Watters is the difference in philosophy with these 2 organizations. The Eagles go out and get a player that Ray Rhodes thought he had to have. And the Giants were very quiet. Got Herschel Walker, of course, who left Philadelphia. And our second half is underway. Here's Herschel Walker. Watching it kick out of bounds at the 5, and there goes the penalty flag. Walker has had a very unproductive season for the Giants, somewhat of a disappointment for Dan Reeves. And you see the penalty thrown, the kickoff, and so the Giants will get it to begin the second half. And through 30 minutes of football, Jerry, here are the first half numbers.
You can see the rushes is kind of surprising. They both have carried the ball 14 times. And total yards by the Giants, they haven't been real productive in the passing game with those interceptions.
So Dave Brown will have it first down and 10 yards to go, and they are a player short as Thomas Lewis comes out onto the field. He's already caught a touchdown pass today and taking the place of Mike Sherrod.
He doesn't ordinarily start, so he didn't think he'd start this second half.
First down and 10 yards to go. A lot of movement on that defensive line. Here's Rodney Hampton putting his head down and bullets his way to the 46 and picks up 7.
And that's how they played the first quarter. Giving Rodney Hampton the ball. Let your star, let your best player control the tempo. Now, they got away from that in the second quarter. But when you run the football, Kevin, you got to score points. And missing that field goal was also big to hurt the Giants.
Rodney had 44 yards last week against the Oakland Raiders. His second down and a short 4 with the block. He gets to the 49-yard line, and around the ankles he found Mike Mamula, who had a brilliant first half for the Philadelphia Eagles today.
Here's the guy that coaches Mamula. The coaches weren't real happy with him. The head coach said he had to play better. He had to gear it up, and I think he listened to the head coach. one thing about the Eagles, their head coach sets the tempo on tenacity and on being ready and getting involved mentally, and I think that permeates through this team. And one thing, he will not tolerate it if you're not intense, if you're not trying to play. And